Desert Loop, 4 national parks in one epic drive. Every year, millions of people fly into Las Vegas for 3 days and never leave the resort. They are 45 miles from one of the most extraordinary road trips on Earth, a 500-mile circuit through 4 geologically distinct national parks, each separated by elevation, latitude, and time itself. The Desert Loop does not appear on official maps. It exists as a pattern, a route connecting Zion, Bryce Canyon, Capitol Reef, and Arches through a network of highways across the Southwest. Most people who live within driving distance have never completed it. Most people who visit the region never attempt it, not because it is difficult, but because it is easy to miss. The route and the time problem. From Las Vegas, the loop travels south into Arizona, east through canyon country, then north across the Ponsagunt Plateau, before turning west across the Mojave. The 4 parks sit at elevations ranging from 2,000 feet at Zion's base to 10,000 feet at Bryce's rim. Between them, annual rainfall varies from under 5 inches to over 40 inches, a difference driven by elevation and the rain shadow cast by the Colorado Plateau itself. The loop is technically completable in 4 days. Visitors on that schedule see the major viewpoints, hike 1 or 2 established trails, and photograph the icons. 7 to 10 days allows for the less visited sections, trails that branch from the main road, elevations that reveal the geology gradually. 14 days is the version where you understand why the rock looks different at each stop, why the vegetation changes, why the sky appears to shift color as you drive. Most people book 4 days. Zion, crowds and what they hide. Zion National Park receives 5 million visitors per year, compressed into a canyon that, at its narrowest point, is less than 30 feet wide. The 3 trails that appear on every travel blog, the Narrows, Angel's Landing, Emerald Pools, are not just crowded. They are dangerously crowded. In 2022, Zion introduced a permit system for Angel's Landing after trail density became a safety risk. The original intent was crowd control. What the system accidentally revealed was everything it had been hiding. Zion contains 229 square miles of designated wilderness. 229. The permits showed that 90% of that land was seeing fewer than 5 visitors per week. The East Mesa Trail, accessible from outside the main canyon, delivers hikers to the rim directly above Angel's Landing, with a fraction of the crowd and an inverted view. Instead of looking up at the walls, you stand on top of them. The Kolob Canyon section, accessible by separate entrance on Interstate 15, contains formations that rival anything on the primary circuit, but receives a small fraction of the main canyon's traffic. The canyon is the postcard. The park is considerably larger. Bryce Canyon. The hoodoo and the season problem. Bryce Canyon is technically not a canyon. It is a series of natural amphitheaters carved into the Ponsagunt Plateau's eastern edge by frost wedging, a process where water enters rock cracks, freezes, expands, and splits stone apart over centuries. The result is hoodoos, thin, towering rock spires in shades of red, orange, and white, occurring in such dense formations that first-time visitors frequently report they look unreal. The park sits at 8,000 feet average elevation. In winter, those hoodoos collect snow on their caps, while the exposed rock beneath remains deep red. The contrast, white, burnt orange, midnight blue sky, is one of the most visually striking combinations in any national park. Yet winter visitation at Bryce is typically 30% of summer numbers. The sunrise at Bryce Point lasts approximately 8 minutes. Most visitors sleep through it. Most of those who wake arrive to find the light has already peaked by the time they reach the overlook. The Agua Canyon Overlook, a 45-minute detour from Bryce's main loop, reveals the transition between formations and shows how rock layers that appear as abstract lines in distance become massive, human-scale cliffs when you walk among them. Capitol Reef, the Fold and the Harvest. Capitol Reef is built around the Water Pocket Fold, a nearly 100-mile-long wrinkle in the Earth's crust where horizontal geological layers have been pushed nearly vertical. From the air, The fold appears as a dark, jagged scar running north to south across the plateau. From the ground, it reads as a series of increasingly strange walls and formations, colors shifting from white Navajo sandstone at the summit to deep red Wingate at the base. The park receives approximately 1 million visitors per year. Its neighbor, to the east, Arches, receives nearly 3 times that number. The difference is almost entirely attributable to one photograph. What Capitol Reef holds instead is a 19th century Mormon pioneer settlement, Fruta, whose original orchards still produce fruit that visitors are permitted to pick during harvest season. Apples, cherries, peaches, apricots. The trees are over 100 years old. The park maintains them as active agricultural landscape, not as historical exhibit. It is an extraordinary detail. A national park where the harvest is part of the visitor experience, managed by rangers, scheduled by season. The Cassidy Arch hike shows how rock layers that appear as abstract lines in the distance become massive, human-scale cliffs when you stand inside them, revealing the geology that defines the entire park's structure. Arches, the 1,000 formations beyond Delicate Arch. Arches National Park contains over 2,000 documented natural arches, the highest concentration on Earth. This fact is almost entirely unknown. Instead, Arches is famous for one, Delicate Arch, a 52-foot freestanding span that appears on the Utah license plate and has been photographed approximately 1 billion times. In 2021, the park implemented timed entry reservations after daily vehicle counts exceeded the road's safe capacity. Edward Abbey spent a season as a park ranger here in the late 1950s and wrote about it in Desert Solitaire, arguing that the park's value was inseparable from its difficulty and silence. "The road shows arches," he wrote. "The slick rock behind it is the park. The windows section, the fiery furnace, the Devil's Garden primitive trail, these areas hold formations as dramatic as Delicate Arch." The Devil's Garden Trail extends beyond the iconic formations into a landscape of balanced rocks and hidden slots where the park's scale becomes apparent. These remain accessible only on foot, many with no maintained trail. Abbey would not recognize the entrance road in July, but he would still recognize the back of the Devil's Garden at dusk, when the last cars have left and the sandstone turns a color that has no agreed-upon name. The transitions. Why the drive matters. The most important thing about the Desert Loop is not any single park. It is the transitions between them. Driving from Zion to Bryce, the elevation climbs nearly 3,000 feet in under 40 miles. The vegetation changes from desert scrub to ponderosa pine to spruce. Temperature drops. Air pressure shifts. You are not simply moving between parks, you are moving between climates, between ecosystems, between geological eras. The Colorado Plateau underlies all 4 parks. The rock layers visible in these parks are ancient, Jurassic, Triassic, Permian, and they are readable, like pages in a book left open. The loop, driven in sequence, is an unintentional geology lesson. By the time you reach Arches, you have been watching the same rock layers appear and disappear and reappear for 400 miles. The drive between parks is not dead time. It is the connective tissue. It is the part most people skip by flying between stops, and it is precisely the part that makes the whole thing coherent. The version most people never see. Every park on this loop has a version that primary visitor infrastructure is not designed to show. At Zion, it is the east entrance and the canyon from above. At Bryce, it is winter and astronomy. The park is a designated dark sky sanctuary, and hoodoo formations under a full moon render photography guides obsolete. At Capitol Reef, it is the water pocket fold itself, visible in full only from Cathedral Valley in the remote northern section, accessible by dirt road. At Arches, it is the primitive trail system beyond the maintained network, where the 2,000 arches mostly live. The infrastructure of each park is built around the photograph, the single iconic image that drove visitation. Parking lots, shuttle routes, ranger station placements, all organized around delivering visitors to that one frame. Everything outside the frame is still there. If this changed how you see the desert loop, the guide, linked in the description, goes further. It's an alternative guide to the park built around everything this video couldn't cover. The East Mesa Trail at Zion, the Winter Hoodoo Formations at Bryce Canyon, the Water Pocket Fold at Capitol Reef, and the Primitive Trail Network at Arches. Just click the link below to get started.